resistance. If you want to know what it is and what to do about it, but I'll give you a little hint, has to do with this right here, then you're going to want to stay tuned. Hello everyone and welcome to another rousing episode of Spill the Tea Tuesday. My name is Flossie and I'm like the funniest, wittiest mindset coach as well as your OG hype you up rampage queen here on YouTube. If you would like one-on-one coaching with me, links will be in the description box below, as well as links to a bunch of other things. And while we are still working out some deets and figuring out an awesome game plan for you guys, there's going to be some changes coming up real soon with the VIP group. So you are going to want to know about that, and we'll be given details very soon. Anyhow, as you know, before I get anything started, I always get to my calendar because it's like one of my favorite things on the face of this planet. This says, may every Monday feel like the fucking weekend. Yeah, it can if you're a master manifesting and you've literally created the life that you want, which you absolutely can, period. Long live resting bitch face. Yeah, that's literally what we're going to give to the 3D BS when we're telling it, yeah, no, get the holiness right out of our 3D reality. Because giving a fuck seems a bit excessive about the 3D and all the BS going on. You know what I'm saying? That's why we say affirm, persist, be a little delulu if you need to, and get your shit. This says, can I get a hell yeah for Friday Eve? Of course you can, but you know what? Every day can feel like a Friday Eve. When you're a master manifesting and you've manifested everything that you want, facts. This says SWEARING, swearing, when it hasn't been your fucking week, month, or even year. Yeah, if you're literally subscribing to the 3D and seeing it as hardcore facts, that could be you. But that is not me, and it's not the people who are part of the GYS Get Your Shit crew, because we're just getting our shit up in here. Facts, period, whatever. So anyway, moving forward to the actual topic, I wanted to talk to you guys about reducing resistance because it's come up for my clients a lot lately, talking about the resistance that they have, and people want to kind of understand, what is it really? Well, basically, when I talk to you guys, I try to explain things in different ways so that somewhere in here, it'll click for you because different things are going to make sense to different people. So that's why I'm going to try to explain it in several different ways of how resistance can appear. But basically, you know, when we're manifesting, there are sometimes things that we get instantly. I get things instantly all the time. And sometimes when we talk about that, it's like, yeah, it's because there's really no resistance to getting that item. I have a fleeting thought of a preference. It shows up. I've literally had it show up immediately. I've literally been on the phone with a manifestation buddy saying, I want to do XYZ, but I have someone coming over my house and, you know, to do something. And then no sooner than the words leave my mouth, I'm getting a text from that person saying, I can no longer come. And then guess what? Flossie gets to do what she wants. Well, I didn't have any resistance to that. Why? Probably because I have some assumptions about people just canceling appointments, you know, because people do sometimes, and that's totally okay. And I just didn't have any resistance, and I wanted to go do what I wanted. Didn't really have a bunch of negative thoughts in my way, which a lot of times is what resistance is. And so, of course, I wrote myself some notes so I can make sure that I go over everything that I want to. But basically, resistance to me is stubbornness of your mind, wanting to stay and it's negative thinking. I think if we boil down a lot of what, you know, people are feeling as resistance or whatever's going on that they feel is creating that resistance for them, if you boil it down, at the end of the day, it means negative thoughts that your mind is being stubborn as fuck and wanting to hold on to. So I've talked for years, like literally since 2020, using an analogy, Felicia versus Foolisha. And some of you who've been with me for a really long time, or who may have even been in part of Sammy's original VIP group, probably remember me talking about the analogy of Felicia versus Foolisha. So your mind, part of your mind wants to protect you, wants to keep you safe, and it sees the 3D as hardcore facts. You know, I've talked about that in previous videos. Well, that ego mind, I call her Felicia when she's agreeing with you and being your homie and having thoughts in line with your manifestation, but she's Foolisha when she's acting a fool and constantly bringing up negative ass, nasty ass thoughts and are not in line with your manifestation. The ones that are like, you know, intrusive, disturbing you, being annoying, where it feels like she's constantly throwing the 3D reality, the undesired version, in your face repeatedly. Well, that's when she's being Foolisha. And I talk about some of these things in the video that I have about manifestation essentially being a battle of your mind. I will probably link that here for you guys. But basically, you have multiple aspects of yourself in your head. And there's part of you that is choosing to have thoughts in line with your manifestation. Like, you have a desire, you know what that desire is, you've created affirmations for it, you're affirming and persisting. That is the part of you that has free will, that you're choosing your thoughts that you want to experience, so that you can change your dominant thoughts, so that your 3D reality can mirror back to you, reflect back to you the experience that you desire, right? Hopefully that's not losing anybody. But basically, you know, you're choosing thoughts in line with what you want so that your 3D reality can conform. Well, there's this other part of your head, your mind, that's trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you comfortable because, like I said, it sees the 3D reality as hardcore facts, even though, you know, the 3D is real, but it's also a partial illusion, because if it was absolute hardcore facts, you wouldn't be able to change it by changing your thoughts. I've literally had things change instantly in my 3D reality. And the only explanation for that is, of course, manifestation, and that the 3D is not fully 100% set in stone. It's malleable, it's changeable by you. So, you know, when Felicia's acting a fool, that part of your mind doesn't recognize that you're a manifestor and you can manifest these things. So it's attempting to battle against you, and tell you all these negative ass thoughts because it wants to keep you safe and not have you go through heartbreak, strife, additional grief. It thinks, well, if I keep you where, you know, I know where the 3D is now, that you're going to be safer. It's going to be less emotional distress for you. Not realizing that keeping you in this safety net and your comfort zone in this little bubble is keeping you from having the life that you want. It's causing your own unintentional delay. So that's part of it. Essentially, resistance can, you know, the stubbornness of the mind, it can show up as attachment to that old story, you know, wanting to cling to that old story, whether it's Felicia repeatedly bringing it up, or whether it's you. If you don't mind, check out my last week's video where I talk about having a clean mental diet. Like, is it actually really clean? You know, we do things constantly that is clinging to the old story. A lot of it is bitching and complaining. We are a society of bitchers and complainers, and that is in many cultures and many countries where we complain, and then everybody wants to be in our business, and they want to know all of this stuff, and they want to be a bunch of negative Nellies, which I also have a video about people being negative Nellies in your reality. I'll probably link that here also. But basically, it's attachment to the old story and constantly complaining about it. Getting what we get from that, what we get from the complaining, is validation. And sometimes people need and want validation. Well, don't get validation from the old story. Don't get validation from people agreeing with you that the SP was acting like a douche, or your boss was acting like a buffoon, or, you know, your money situation is horrible, terrible. All of your friends, family, everyone who will listen, because you're talking to everybody and their grandmother, they're all sympathizing with you. Well, you get, you know, something from that neurologically and egotistically. But I would rather not bitch and not get that validation and get what I want versus just sitting in my sea of negativity and staying in my victim mentality. We also have resistance when we're holding on to the old version of SP, when we are clinging to that old version of SP despite wanting a different version, or we're, you know, holding on to the old version of us that's broke as a joke, or, you know, we're clinging to the old version of our boss, the institutions, the banks, or whatever. We're holding on to stories about them and versions of them that don't work for us. You know, that's also some resistance. You can create your own resistance by worrying about the how, by constantly trying to figure out how it's going to happen instead of just letting it unfold. Again, your brain, Felicia, she's getting in there, acting a fool, creating all these thoughts that don't work for you about, like, well, if it doesn't happen this way, that it's not going to happen. You know what? You got to just stick this on the trash right where it belongs. You see this out of the owl trash can? This bitch is hungry, and she's hungry for your BS, negative thoughts that don't work for you. Because at the end of the day, everything that I'm describing could be boiled down to what? It's negative thinking. At the end of the day, whether it's clinging to an old story, clinging to old versions of people, worrying about the how, it's all negative thoughts that you're having around those things. And the other thing is, doing a time crunch. Can you manifest on a time crunch? Of course you can. I've known many people to do it. I myself have done it. But what I tell my clients, again, because I'm not a gatekeeper, I share everything that I tell my clients to you guys. You could literally never have coaching and just watch some videos and get everything that you want. But when you do a time crunch, I tell my clients, number one, set it as a preference. I would prefer to have XYZ by this date, or to a lot of people when they're manifesting SP, well, I want my birthday, or I want this holiday, this, that with the SP. Totally fine. Other people manifesting money, well, I want money by this date because I want to go do XYZ. Totally fine. But have it as a preference, because at the end of the day, if your 3D reality conforms 2 days after your birthday and it's the SP coming in hot, doing everything you want, are you going to say, F you, get away from me, I'm not talking to you anymore because you didn't show up how I wanted you to 2 days ago? No. Are you going to throw the money away because it showed up a couple days late? No. A couple weeks late? No. Even a month late. You still would accept it. You still would be delighted to have it. So when you manifest on a time crunch, I look at it as a preference, number one. And number two, when you manifest on a time crunch, the big thing that people do that, again, is causing the resistance is they are looking under every rock for that manifestation. If they have, July 20th as the day that they want that manifestation by, July 1st comes around, they start to look. July 10th comes around, they're starting to get worried, nervous, fearful that it's not going to happen. July 15th, they're like, it's probably not going to happen. I don't see anything. July 19th, they're freaking out. They're like having a total hissy fit, when it literally could happen July 20th at 11:59 p.m., which would still be on July 20th. So you're creating your own resistance by having a bunch of negative thoughts, by getting yourself in a cycle of all this negative thinking. When you think of different things that we talk about in manifestation videos that's like negative, looking for the manifestation, looking under every rock, trying to, if it's not here right this second, figuring out, well, how it's going to come to fruition, making one manifestation conditional on the other. Resistance, 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 resistance. It's just forms of negative thinking, whether it's your dominant negative thoughts that you're having or other ones that you just keep repeating to yourself. It's still, that's resistance at the end of the day. So now you're probably wondering, okay, I think I have a good idea of what resistance could be. Can you manifest with resistance? Absolutely. Because it's your dominant thoughts that manifest. So if you're, affirming, and you're persisting and you're not really entertaining the negative thoughts, your manifestation can come forward even if you feel like you still have resistance. So because you're not choosing to give in to the resistance that, is existing currently in your 3D reality. And of course you can always affirm, I never have resistance to anything. I always get what the fuck I want, period. But take its power away. So now we're going to get into what to do. Take its power away. Take your power back. It's your creation. You're the operant power. That creation is already finished. It already belongs to you. You just have to become the version of you that has it. And you become the version of you that has it by changing your dominant thoughts, your dominant mindset on that topic. And so you need to take that manifestation off the pedestal, which will be another video, right up here. One of the things that you can do to take it off of the pedestal, I talked about it before, I'll talk about it again, and you guys can say I'm broken record as far as going over it over and over and over and over and over. But the deal is the FU letter. There's a reason why Coach Nikki calls it the resistance letter, because it's like putting the resistance in the garbage where it belongs. It's taking the resistance and putting it in the trash can. It's kicking it to the curb. Because you're writing everything that you'd want to say to that person's face. I'm going to go over the FU letter because people are always like, how do you do it? Even though I talk about it in multiple videos, which I'm sure that some of you are tired of. But for those in the back who haven't heard me talk about it, and probably 50 or 20 or whatever out of the 100 and some odd videos on this channel, you write whatever you want to say to a person's face, institution's face. You can conceptualize anything, person, institution, even yourself. What would you say to that person's face if you could say anything that you could without worrying about social niceties or repercussions? How you feel now or how you felt at the time of whatever's going on. How you feel about manifesting that version of that person, that version of yourself, or, or whatever you're experiencing, with the exception of course, we don't take responsibility for trauma or things as children, and then you destroy it. And then you followed up with my other favorite thing, the command letter. So I'm going to try to link Nikki's video that I believe that she has on her YouTube about the FU letter. And if I still have room, I'll link my command letter video. But you write it to a command letter. You command it to do what you want as if it's already doing it. It's like a written rampage. you're writing with a, you're commanding it. But like I said, the verb tense is just, that's the way that it is. You're writing with confidence, authority, and you are using words of conviction that we use in everyday conversation when we're talking about something that we believe is true. Things like legit, literally, totally, completely, absolutely, because I said so, no matter what, it's a fact. The truth is, periods, facts. I know, and I heard one of my clients say that they use, I think they were in the VIP group, so they use in my reality. You can use any of those type of phrases. And then you can also get rid of the resistance and yank things off the pedestal by affirming, doing the repetition of thought. You can rampage. Rampaging makes people feel powerful. You can also use EFT tapping to tap in your affirmations. That also helps. The key points I use, I'm not going to go through like a whole bunch of EFT tapping. I've talked about it before, but it's the inner eye, outer eye, under the eye, the clavicle, and holding the wrist. And so you would just tap these points while you're affirming. You're saying your affirmations while you're tapping, and you're just tapping away. And, when you can hold your wrist, continue to affirm. You can breathe in and out and say peace if you want, if you're feeling anxious. But then you're going to keep going through all the points. The other thing, of course, is you can change your affirmations to a form of a question, because that can reduce any internal discomfort. And a lot of times we'll ask affirmations, because if you say like, why am I so rich versus I am so rich? If you're feeling some kind of way about saying, I'm so rich, just change it to why am I so rich, or why am I a millionaire? Why do I have so much money? Why does money come to me from all sources? Why don't I have to lift a finger and I get tons of money? Whatever that it is, you can change it to a question, and it helps circumvent the whole, anxiety thing, because you're saying something that your mind is going to see as a fact, but it's not like a firm statement. Your mind sees it differently. Also, it helps to keep Felicia a little quieter. So give it a try. But anyway, resistance at the end of the day, for the most part, is the stubbornness of your mind staying stuck on those negative ass, nasty ass thoughts that got you into the boat you're in. You want to get rid of the resistance, use some of the tools and affirm. Like affirm is an absolute to me, or have some sort of repetition of thought. The tools are helpful. My clients love the tools. Why? Because it helps them to deal with resistance, deal with their emotion, deal with their negative thinking, that at the end of the day, they feel derails them. They feel like they get their stuff faster. I have my clients literally say that they do the FU letter and command letter and they get movement. Same thing happens with me. That's why I say to use it, facts, because it just is so effective for it. So at any rate, I'm hoping overall that this video has been helpful to you with helping you to understand like resistance and how it can be sneaky. A lot of it's just negative thinking. And don't forget, like when you're manifesting consciously and we're not necessarily processing everything that's gone on in the 3D, we're just stuffing it down. And what happens when you stuff, at some point there isn't any room for it anymore. And that when happens, you're exploding, you're irritable, you're spiraling, you're being triggered. These things help to deal with the resistance so that you are not as triggered while you're affirming and persisting and getting what you want. So I know this video is kind of long, so I'm going to go end it. We are not going to allow Chewbacca to be sitting there chilling like a villain in our 3D reality when we are masters of manifesting and can have anything that we want. So drop your comments, questions, concerns below, because at the end of the day, I always check them out, and I love your video ideas, which is where some things do come from. And as usual, I'll talk to you later. Bye.